this song is called Power, and it is about, well, it's about love. I think you'll see the meaning in it when you hear it.
Did you write it?
No, this is an Amy Steinberg song. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in the word, vibrating at a frequency. There's a power inside that power, inside that power. Is I start spinning on the wheel of the world, watch it rise. Out of the ashes comes another day of bright light, shining through your perfect blue eyes. So much surprise every time we fall in love, 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 love. There's a force in the fist. When it unclenches, it ceases to exist. It shifts into light. So much freedom releases from the wrist. So insist on bliss, 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 and love, 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 love. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in the word love, vibrating at a frequency. There's a power inside that power, inside that power is love.
Yeah.
Your dog likes it.
Peaches likes it. Well, I wanted to thank Pastor Jill and also Peter for the welcome to be here with you today. It's really a privilege and an honor. And I cannot believe that the handouts got out somehow, which means you really take your studying seriously. Is that right? Yes.
No,
No?
not really.
Okay. So let me give you in a nutshell, the topic that we were told, and it's correct, right? Reverend Deanna spoke about it, is many faces of Christ. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And so while I'm speaking, I'm going to pass this around, and if everybody could take a look, then you're going to see the many faces of Christ, because it's a little pocket mirror, right? And later on, we may practice some other things as well, like affirmations, if you're open to it. So basically, I'm here as a representative of CSL, which stands for Center for Spiritual Living, and we're in Redland. We're right on Church Street under the freeway. You know where Baker's is, and you go under the freeway and we're that little cute building on the right. So Center for Spiritual Living is a big organization. It has 400 centers in about 14 countries. And there's an easy website where much of the material came from, which is csl.org. And it's really a very, very good organization. Our Science of Mind is only 100 years old. So it's not one of the oldest religions, but it is 100 years old. So
exactly 100.
Exactly. Yeah. And two of our members, well, Jody Holly knows a lot about Science of Mind. If you want advanced studies, see your own member, Jody. And Phil, weren't you raised in Science of Mind?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Did your parents Science of Mind though?
They discovered it in about 1983 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So it's 100 years old. I had let you know we have about 400 centers in 14 countries. You already finished that? Everybody got to see the faces of Christ? Mm-hmm. Very good. And so it's really a mixture of philosophy and science. And the founder is Ernest Holmes. And in 1926, there was a textbook made. This is obviously the softback version of it, and it's called The Science of Mind. And it's an amazing text. It's based on all the great truths out of all the great world religions. So it really includes all, it welcomes all, and that way we're very, very similar, are we not, to UCC, right? Doesn't UCC welcome everyone? Same. And so in our center, it's really the main thing that we're taught as practitioners is perfect God, perfect man. So if, say it again?
No, just
Okay, did you get the shivers when I said that?
no.
Okay. So if we know that, right, doesn't that make everything easy?
What about perfect woman?
A perfect woman. When I say perfect man, I'm actually referring to.
No, we're just giving you inclusive language.
Oh, you
So
did.
when you said, don't you welcome all? Yeah, we wouldn't say man.
Okay.
Because we use inclusive language.
Humankind.
So all of humankind. Well, thank you for the course correction. I don't know if I'm going to do my best to. No. What I'm saying, but I want to also say human. All humans. And so you're saying all of humankind.
Yeah, right. We would say
I think we need a lot more of that right now, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go political, I don't think. Anyway,
You're correct.
I know, you're like, did you say you can?
Yes.
All right. Well, you know I will.
Wow.
So 1926, the text was done. So Science of Mind, I just want to say, it's a philosophy that integrates spiritual truths with science and physics, and it teaches the unity of all life. Now, intentions are ideas that flow through the field of consciousness, and then that affects and creates the world around us. So Ernest Holmes would say, the founder would say, if I want to know what you think about yourself, I'll just see how you live your life. And so if you're really a religious scientist, you should be living a pretty marvelous life. It doesn't mean, though, that you can't be a mess at times. It doesn't mean, though, that there aren't things that happen, right, to the human condition. And our teaching is really amazing. It's almost based on the premise that we're simply a mold, and so spirit can fill the mold. And it's our beliefs that create the form. And so the teaching symbol, I brought it, it's on the sash that I earned when I finished my 4 years of practitioner study. It's spirit, soul, and body, or the body is the form. And so spirit is all, and then it goes through the soil of the soul to form. So it's thoughts or things. When you go through the doors of our center, it says, change your thinking, change your life. And it's really more than that, I found, because there's a really big principle, and it's called mental equivalence. And so the principle means that and I hope we'll have an app for this one day, right? It would be everything has an app, right? So if we did a prayer treatment together, and you embodied the treatment as your own, or you just embodied it. Let's just, because there's really, when I said perfect God, perfect humankind, I'm really just saying, if I can know that for you when you don't know that about yourself, you can be reminded of that for yourself, right? And so if you get that at 100%, then you can have a healing. You can have it, or we call it in our teaching, a demonstration or a manifestation, right? Or a realization. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So some of the tools that we use to get to this, to do in our teaching, is first of all, I say you can have an area of your own home, right? That you make a little sanctuary. What's the word when you do
Altar?
Yes, an altar or a little shrine area. You could do journaling, right? You could, and a technique that I know that works because I've tried is, if in journaling, if you have a very deep question and you've been working on it, but you're not getting an answer, you may want to try writing the question with your dominant hand and then writing the answer with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you could say, what is this pain that never leaves me in my lower back, region? And then just put the pen or pencil on the paper with the non-dominant hand and don't move it. Just see if it moves. And for me, I believe that's spirit moving through you it might even be in a word.
Psychic writing?
It's from yourself. It's from yourself, and I believe that could be your highest self answering yourself, because I think that spirit is always waiting for us to be still. And a lot of times we resist that. So another tool is meditation, prayer, and I'll go through the 5 steps of prayer that we do as well, because we believe that if you do the 5 steps of prayer treatment, that it works. So the reason that they call it scientific is that that the demonstrable results should be repeatable.
Mark,
yes, go ahead.
the word science, is this like Scientology?
It's not Scientology.
That's one of the questions in the question.
Right. Thank you. It's not a cult. And that's interesting, because some people immediately think the word science means Scientology. A lot of people do. And thanks for the question, because Ernest Holmes, it reminded me that he always said he wanted his teaching to be open at the top. And I love that. He never believed that his word was the final word. And I love that. Because I think it's still, quantum physics is now being proven, right? This talk might be in multiple, not just Facebook universe, but it could be in different dimensions. I do believe that it's possible. And so I was going to give you the 5 steps of our prayer treatment, if that's okay, because we're still speaking about tools. So the first one is recognition. And it's just that God is all there is, or the universe, or intelligence. It's the allness or isness. The second one is I am one with it, and you are one with it. So it's unification. So it's recognition, unification. Realization is the third step, meaning that everything it is, you are. And so really that's not that easy for a lot of people to say, right? It's not that always easy for a lot of people to accept that they are abundance, that they are perfect health, that they are wellness, that they are joy, that they are love, that they are prosperous, that they're unlimited potential, that all the goodness of God is that third step. Then the 4th step is thanksgiving, which could be as simple as a grateful heart. And then the last step is release. And when we say release, we usually say, and so it is, or meaning I don't want you to release the prayer treatments in our teaching until you really are ready to release it. Because then, meaning you let it go now. And so Ernest Holmes, the founder, would say, now your job is simply to walk around looking for your good, or with great expectancy that it's already so. Do you see? Because if you keep holding on to it, it can't do its work. It can't fulfill itself in the manifest form, because you're still holding on to it, right? And then sometimes, if it's okay though, to start again. So like if you feel yourself that, maybe by, sometimes Spirit doesn't always answer us in our time frame, right? Because we're a drive-through world now, right? If we can't get it in 1 minute, we're just upset, right? Even on Facebook and other video clip channels, you'll see, you know what? Even the New Thought channel, they're 1 minute, and that's it. They figure somebody will only look at 1 minute, and then you can always go, be directed somewhere else. And so I'm really appreciative to have a group that's willing and open to learn about the many faces of Christ in other religions. And so Ernest Holmes, I don't think he ever really even wanted to be a minister. He had to become one in order to perform weddings and ceremonies, to have them be legal. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about on the many faces of Christ is, and how it might be different in our teaching, is sometimes we refer to Christ as the Christ, or Jesus the Christ, as a way shower. And so, not to be disrespectful in any way, but just to throw out there, what if Jesus was just showing you what you can do? What if he was a slob like one of us, just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home, right? What if? And so the thing is you know the intensity of being able to say to somebody that hasn't walked, get up and walk. That's amazing. So in our teaching, it would be that he had the mental equivalent to know with 100% certainty that person could get up to walk, to be able to say that person could get up to walk. And so what if we had spent all these thousands of years just duplicating that, instead of just doing whatever has happened instead? We don't even need to talk about that. Do you see what I mean?
All the children would have their parents.
Ah,
Ah,
oh. He's talking about he wants he wants all the reunifications to happen of the kids that were taken at the border.
oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
It wouldn't end by 7 if we went there. So I might be open for questions right now, and then I'll look at my notes because I feel like do you feel like I gave it to you in a little bit of a nutshell? Yeah, you like a nutshell, Reader's Digest version? Let me do, and music too. We can have a closing song. But I mean, I'm open to the Q&A for a little bit, and then I'll scan through my notes to see if I missed anyone. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you first.
Okay. I'm just thinking, okay, so 100 years, but do you feel like, do you consider it a church? I mean, do you call it a
Well,
church or no?
we do refer to it as a church, but it's really called a center.
A center.
So but a lot of times if you're in the center, we'll just say, we're having a board meeting at the church. It's going to, or it's synonymous, but it's really a center. Because it welcomes people. If you're even an atheist, it doesn't matter. We don't care.
So,
you can be in any. You don't have to take any oaths. You don't have to say any. We don't have any booths where you go in and get forgiven. We don't have that
Do you
stuff.
consider it a Christian faith?
I consider it a spiritual faith that includes Christianity as one of the great teachings of the world.
So it includes like any religion.
Anything,
basically.
right? We've had. I know of people who studied Judaism their whole life who led our Sunday night services,
Okay.
and that's fine. It doesn't really matter. We welcome everyone. Our job is to see the perfection of all humankind. Period.
I just think you're so far away from seeing the perfection of all humankind.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think you might be right. I mean, maybe we woke up. Maybe we're having to rise. Maybe we're light workers that have to rise to vibrate even at a higher frequency. Because if you really think of what could be happening, we could be taking a lot of darkness that's under the huge rock of evil. We don't really believe in evil in our teaching, but I mean, I have used the word evil lately. I mean, I don't know how else. I don't
I
don't really believe in evil, but it's pretty accurate.
Non-life affirming behavior.
Well, it's
Yeah.
so. But if you think about it, if it's come out if we thought as Americans that it was gone for 50 years or 70 years, we were wrong.
Yeah.
And so the rock. I mean, what happens when you take a piece of slate out of the yard? There's all kinds of little creepy crawly things under it, and there is your 33. There's your 33% to 38%. When I see the posts, sometimes it say 1/3 of us would kill another third of us while 1/3 of us watch.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So it's about getting the 1/3 of the people to come out and be heard at least. If you're heard at least, with a vote or whatever, and this is what you chose, then this is what you chose. But there always that darkness. To me, one thing that I couldn't even be a practitioner if I didn't believe that light outweighs the darkness, and that anything the deeper or lower or darkest that I've ever gone, sometimes I'll even just light a candle. Sometimes I'll leave it burning in the daylight, and just be like, because if I'm not really sure, I can look at the candle, and I really do believe that the smallest amount of light can outweigh all the darkness. I don't know if I even answered your question. The 100 years.
In the right direction.
Okay, so Jody.
I was involved with Science of Mind for 11 years. And I was taking a class, and this class was very, very supportive. And I was going to be on a game show called The Weakest Link. And I wanted to get $25,000. That was my aim. So they all told me, you'll do it. You're going to get the $25,000. I mean, the support was unbelievable. So I went home, and Dr. Ruth, who was the minister at that time, said, when you speak to God, you yell at the top of your lungs. So I went home and I yelled at the top of my lungs, God, I want $25,000. So 5 minutes later, the phone rings. And it's a friend of mine who said The Weakest Link wanted somebody on their show who read animals, and that's what I did. I did animal readings. And so I went on the show, and oh God, I got nervous.
It's okay.
And so I went on the show, and oh, the other game players were not good. They were not nice to me. They ridiculed me. You know, I would lose like I'm doing right now. I'd lose track. And they called me names, but I just kept focusing. And I kept focusing on a prayer. And the prayer was, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.
Ah.
And my mind just focused on that, no matter what was going on around me. I won $25,000.
There you go. Okay.
That was directly as a result of practicing
Yes.
Science of Mind.
Yeah, because you also expected it and you believed it. That's just my opinion on that. And also, I think the use of mantra or chant, very, very good. Go ahead.
Is it related to or an offshoot of Christian Science?
No.
No.
And we do believe in going to doctors and medical professionals. I want to encourage everyone too, if you're taking anything, even herbs, why not just bless it, right? Perfect assimilation and perfect elimination, right? Whatever it is. You could do that with your food. You could do it with your medications.
Wasn't Holmes inspired, though, by a lot of Eddie's
Yes.
teaching?
Yes.
Yeah, it said he thought, he
There's
looked
links
into
there.
lots of,
There's a lot of links to all great New Thought.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
had he been a student of Mrs. Eddie, well, of Christian Science?
Have I?
No, had he?
I don't know. I think so.
He was, yeah.
There
he
was-
an
there was-
important student
Yeah.
who saw things different.
Yeah. In fact, there was.
Very inspiring.
Was it Mary Baker Eddy or what? Which was the
Mary
one?
Baker Eddy is the
Is that the one?
Reverend founder of Christian
Okay, and then there's another one. I'm not sure of the name. It's a woman who used the use of denials. Do you remember that? Emma Curtis Hopkins.
Yes.
So this is kind of interesting because just as much as we use affirmations, are you willing to do some affirmations? We might do that right before the closing. But the idea was that if you can't see, the winning $25,000 or the prosperity, you can use denials. You could say like, this ill health that I am experiencing now is temporal and it's passing. That would be a use of a denial till you can get to the opposite.
Very Christian.
It's very well. No, it is. It's but it's not.
I'm a
It's.
Christian
I guess
child.
what my answer was direct is it's not the same. But of course, they're all connected. In fact, there's a.
You said perfect God, perfect
yes.
man. Man reflects God.
And I now say humankind. But
Humankind.
the interesting thing there is a like a family tree or a chart that is very, very good that goes through all the great teachers and all the great teachings and how it got to Science of Mind. And it does have the influence of all these great teachings. So thank you for asking that. And Phil, thank you for the help on that.
Going on with what he said, a very wise Jesuit priest, of all people, was a Vatican astronomer, once said that Christianity does not begin with faith. It begins with experience.
Ah.
Our faith is a result of that experience. And I thought, that's some good words. Right there.
Very good. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, Christianity does not begin with faith. It begins with experience.
Very good.
Our faith is a result of that experience.
Very good. Very good. Everybody got to hear that over here. That's beautiful. You could do a whole service on that. You could, because you could get quotes and affirmations and music that all fit in with that. Ed.
Yeah, my background was evangelical Christian, and I was in the ministry and everything. And one of the things I realized about, the teachings of Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind is that, for me, it showed me that I am responsible for all actions and all things. And see, the teachings when I was involved in the evangelical movement in the 80s, there was never that responsibility because first you had to be, there was guilt, and then there, you had to, do forgiveness, and then you had to, do whatever you had to do to be approved so you can, be saved. And what I liked about, the teachings of Science of Mind is that it empowered me to be responsible, to be accountable, that I could not blame the devil. I could not blame anyone. In fact, the teaching taught me that no one in this room can hurt my feelings unless I allow them to hurt me.
Without your permission.
That's correct. And that is so powerful.
So do you guys not believe in the devil?
I don't believe in the devil in all the background that I've learned. Okay, I don't believe in the devil. I believe that there is there is negative forces, and those forces can be revealed as, you know, evil. We're all experiencing right now in our country. So I mean,
There's some bad stuff.
there's some
going on, for sure.
manifestations, and it's unfortunate. But I don't believe in the devil anymore, you know, like I used to.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
believe.
you came from an evangelical.
Yes, very much so. Well, I was in the ministry, so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Put it this way, when Ed had somebody speak tongues over him and a healing, and he spoke back, and they both understood each other.
Okay.
You know, so I believe in the, you know, that's what I'm saying. What I discovered with, you know, Ernest Holmes' teachings is that all the gifts of the Spirit are within me. And I can utilize every single one at any single time as long as I choose to do that. I don't have to go through ministry. I don't have to, you know, not, you know, do anything bad for the whole
Do you
week.
study the Bible also?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
Right, right,
Do
yeah.
you
That is
study
it.
other scriptures?
Anything,
Oh, yes.
as long as
I know,
it's.
but you said you study the Bible.
We've used scripture in our services. Sure, we can use quotes and.
So, like that book, you were showing us that
Uh-huh.
book.
Yep.
That has.
It does. It does
that
have some-
has a part.
It does have some you know, quotes and scriptures. It'll attest who did it, and we do use that.
You mentioned 5 stages
Oh, yes.
of prayer.
Mhm.
Could you give us an example
Sure.
and show us how that works?
Sure, right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we praying about?
How about praying about my fear that America's going down the tubes?
Oh. Okay, so
Boy.
so
Should probably hold hands on that one.
Because this is really serious.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
Judy,
not
right?
aware
Judy?
of- Huh?
Is your name Judy, right?
Judith.
Judith. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm a very optimistic. I was always a very optimistic person.
Until fairly recently.
Okay. No pressure. So let's just we'll just take a moment and turn within, and however that's comfortable for you. And I just right now exhale out everything that's preceded this moment in time. And I inhale in the love and grace and joy and perfect intelligence of the one Creator, Spirit, God, the universe, the Mother, the Father, the creative intelligence, the all in all, as all. I know that the same power that created everything, created me perfect, created Judith perfect, and created actually our entire country and its leaders perfect. And it is from this place of unity and oneness and wholeness that I speak a word for a place that may appear upside down to be turned right side up. And so I'm asking Spirit that makes a way where I may not be able to see a way. I know that Spirit can make a way so that all of us can see the way where all of humankind is valued, treasured, loved, where people who proclaim to be of certain faiths and religions actually show by the demonstration of their faiths and religions and what is true and whole and complete and perfect. And so I know that Spirit can make a way where I, as simple mortal man, or Judith as simple mortal part of humankind, may not be able to see a way. It may not be for ours to see at this moment, except for we have 2 or more gathered. And so we have activated the Christ consciousness that makes all things possible. And so I speak forth and proclaim a word of blessing for our country and its leaders at every level, including all the way to the top to number 45, to have a reversal, to have an immediate reversal of all what appears backwards, to let it just actually play out and be done with the reversal, and now with a re-reversal to the forward thinking that I believe America is. I'm going to look for this prayer to be answered because Judith was brave enough to ask for the biggest prayer of all. And that prayer still is simply nothing to Spirit. For Spirit says, change the whole world? Fine. Right? For Spirit, this is not a problem. And so I proclaim that it can be done right here and right now, and I proclaim that we are all light holders to the witnessing. We're all light workers of the witnessing because we will hold our 1,000 or more points of light, no matter what. No one can speak against us, for ours is the truth with a capital T. And we've all learned to recognize what is no longer true, and it always has a small t. And so I walk forth with a heart that's just filled with gratitude for the privilege to speak a prayer in like-minded company. And I know that it is done. Therefore, I can release my word to the great law of life, knowing it is fulfilled right here, right now. And together we say, and so it is, and amen.
Amen.
Okay, that's an example.
Amen just means
That's an example. Okay, so somebody else had a question here? No? I would like to do a couple affirmations with you, more than a couple. Are you willing to practice, or is that too scary? Because I'm not here to recruit anybody. Pastor Jill said that we cannot recruit anybody. But you know to be real cautious of all your words, right? Especially after the words I am. I'm just throwing it out there. As a religious scientist, I want you to think of when you say, I am tired, I'm hot. Like, I honestly thought we were going to be outside. They told me it was going to be outside. I'm like, dang. How am I right? Right? I thought, how can we do this?
Did you bring your swimsuit?
No, I have to look somewhat, respectable for you. Next time I will bring my swimsuit. So, are you willing to practice some affirmations? Just say if you're willing. If you're not, you can just not say anything audible. I am joy.
I am joy.
I am health.
I am health.
I am wholeness.
I am wholeness.
I am whole.
I am whole.
Complete and perfect.
Complete and perfect.
Now I have to go to my notes. I'm wonderful.
I am wonderful.
I'm intuitive.
I'm intuitive.
I'm compassionate.
I'm compassionate.
And then I say back, are you? Because it's good, right? Because it's kind of interesting to, when you do the affirmations, to then challenge yourself back and just say, am I? Right? Because we sometimes go right to judgment on a lot of things. I'm forgiven.
I'm forgiven.
I'm inspired.
I'm inspired.
I am magical.
I am magical.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I am effervescent.
I am effervescent.
I am energetic.
I am energetic.
I'm abundant.
I'm abundant.
I'm creative.
I am creative.
I'm gentle.
I'm gentle.
I'm peaceful.
I'm peaceful.
I'm passionate.
I am passionate.
I am love.
I am love.
I am peace.
I am peace.
I am perfection.
I am perfection.
I am divine.
I am divine.
Are you? Because for me, I would say as a religious scientist, that's an amazing thing to just think about. And you may want to do some work on that on your own time. Journaling, meditative thoughts. How divine am I really willing to be? How whole am I really willing to be? How much of humankind am I really accepting at all times?
I mean, I am has to do with God's name.
Right. It's just
I am that I am.
I am that I am. Exactly, Judith. I am wellness.
I am wellness.
I'm eternal. And so in our teaching, we do believe that life is eternal. So when you build your consciousness, right, or we're learning and evolving, we take it with us. So we don't believe that if we pass through our mortal coil that we get to be all of a sudden like something we were never on earth. We believe we take it with us. So there, hence lies...
Whatever level you're at,
we
you go
will,
to the next stage.
Yeah, like the consciousness is something we do for ourselves, right? Our soul's evolution, our journey. So any classes you take... even just being here is amazing that you're open to learn and to be open to be anything that might... These are all just little tools, right? There's nothing that's right or wrong, but whatever speaks to your heart, follow that, right? Listen to that. That intuition is spirit speaking to you, through you, and we don't always listen. I am guided.
I am guided.
I'm good.
I am good.
I am merciful.
I am merciful.
Are you? I am kind.
I am kind.
I'm considerate.
I'm considerate.
I am passionate.
I am passionate.
I am light-filled.
I am light-filled.
Okay, any last questions before the closing song?
Could we have a copy of those?
Sure.
There-
I was
there
going
was
to
lots of
say, Pastor Jill will include these in your Sundays, some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, she's amazing. You guys have an amazing center, and we were so grateful to have a couple of connections. Thank you, Phil, for being here today, and for Jody. Thank you so much for being here today, because we're connected. We're all one. We would welcome everybody. There's also classes. There's a summer series that you're doing, right, on Monday nights. There's a starting tomorrow night from 7 to 8:30. You're doing
summer dialogues.
And the first topic.
Light workers. Being a light worker.
Yeah, and so we have Wednesday night service. Do you guys have Wednesday night services too?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Wednesday night services
Choir practice night, I think.
from 7 to 8:30. What's that?
I'm just saying for this church, it's choir practice.
Oh, okay, because
choir's offered to some.
yeah, we do offer Wednesday nights. You can come anytime. You can even go to our Facebook page and watch some of the videos at home online.
So when are your services?
We have service Wednesday night, 7. It starts with a 20-minute meditation, and it's usually over by 8.
You
Except
don't have a Sunday service?
we do. Sunday we have 9:30 in the morning meditation for 20 minutes, and then a 10 a.m. service,
Oh.
and it ends by 11:15. Yeah. So you can, if you want to come to the meditation, come, and if you want to come right after, you can come right after.
No recruiting.
I know. I'm just saying you're always welcome. I think Pastor Jill won't care because she knows she outnumbers us. We had a chit chat about it.
First Sunday is potluck. That's when you should.
No, why not? I mean, I've come. Didn't you invite me to Christmas Eve?
Yes.
We were at your Christmas
Yeah,
Eve.
you were at the Christmas
We
Eve.
marched out with the lights in the courtyard with all the hundreds of
That's
people.
beautiful.
Your band is amazing with all the. Do you always have that many musicians?
No.
No.
It
That was
varies.
pretty amazing.
It varies.
And who bought all the poinsettias?
People in the church.
Pretty good.
No.
So we got to come to your place.
So I had a question about all the affirmation. I mean, I think that's great to like, affirm
Yeah.
all, but there are things about myself that I know that are also true, that, shortcomings or whatever that, or just limitations that I recognize, and I don't necessarily think that it's a negative thing, but I think it's important to be aware of where maybe don't have a certain talent or a certain whatever. Not to say that I couldn't work on it, but that it's not, like you're good at some things, do those. You don't have to do everything.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And there are many people in the world that I think I feel like they don't know their own shortcomings.
Okay.
And there are certainly people in the media today who
Well, I mean, obviously.
don't know their own internal shortcomings.
Let
And
me-
I feel they're not self-aware.
This is a major question. I'm just going to answer it. I'm going to answer it in two ways. I think I got you. If I didn't, you just let me know.
2 minutes.
So the first. Wait, Phil, don't interrupt the flow. So I auditioned for a part in the Fantastics when I was young.
Oh.
And as soon as I finished singing, the director said, "You'd be perfect for the mute." I got the part. And I got very good reviews playing the mute. Because what I didn't know is that much of the Orange County Theater is already kind of precast even before auditions. I mean, the main stars have done the shows all the time with each other. They never let new. I mean, I wasn't that good. I was all right. But the thing is, I was an excellent mute. And I got good reviews. I have them in writing. Now, what I want to say back, and so I would say talk to Pastor Jill, talk to a minister. I'd be willing to talk with you afterward if you want privacy for just like because remember when we were doing the affirmations and then I said to you, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I said the principle of mental equivalence, right? So we can work. Today we can be at 0% that I don't believe X, Y, and Z is the truth about me. At the same time, I bet you after you have a couple pieces of cheesecake, or you go home and you reflect, or you might even have a dream tonight and wake up tomorrow and go, maybe that little weirdo Armenian guy was right. And so tomorrow, right? So maybe tomorrow, even after you do some work with Pastor Jill or a minister or anybody, wherever you get prayer in your center, you might be at 13% tomorrow. And you didn't think you'd ever see 13%, right? And then a week later, you might be at 26%. And then a week later, you may be at 39%. And then...
What do you mean by the percentage?
I'm saying, like, if I'm not going to ever declare, I'm only going to see perfect humankind. So it's really, when we say we have a limitation, is there a limitation to the many faces of Christ?
No.
Well, there is if we proclaim it. Right. If we say, I don't have talent, I can never sing. I mean, it doesn't mean I can't
say, or to say I'm tone deaf, so I'm not.
Right. At the same time, there are many people who sing and they don't know that they're tone deaf. It may not be our job. It may not be our job to tell them because listen, you just used a great word for what's happening in our country. Tone deaf. Right. Well, no. Listen.
What do you mean?
Wait. You have a small faction trying to rule the majority. Okay. That's why the streets are full and all the protests. Right. So you have tone deafness, but when you go to listen to that little clip, even though we have to always mute it at our household, does that person is practicing the principles of our teaching
to a negative purpose?
It's our calling it negative. Right. They're calling it fantastic. They're calling it fan-effing-tastic.
Yeah.
they're going to have a generation, 40 to 50 more years, that they control. That person is putting in all the lifetime appointments to all the federal court benches at a faster pace than any other person ever did.
And he's using affirmations.
Right. The thing is, you can use those. So in our teaching, we wouldn't say it is the devil. We would say it's incorrect use of. See, to me, the main thing is, if it's a spiritual truth, a child knows it. We had a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old at our house. His great niece and nephew for a month, and they have an African American dad, and they couldn't stand anything on the news. We never got to watch the news for a month. They're 4 and 6. They're 4 and 6. They know this is not truth. So our teaching believes in all the great truths of all the spiritual teachings, but they have to have a capital T. So what we're witnessing a lot of small T's proclaiming to be big T's. And we use our voices and our votes or whatever, hopefully, to wake up the middle 1/3 that was asleep at the wheel. And that's all we can really do.
But isn't it important to look at yourself too, to be
Yes.
sure that you're not proclaiming the capital T when your
Well,
thing is only a small T?
No, I'm going to disagree with you for a minute, because all of what we do too, and you might have these same kind of classes, but any one of our classes, it's a 4-year process to become a licensed practitioner, but you can start with the first class, just foundation, and it's all self-introspection. It's about self-forgiveness. It's about people that have been through all the normal things that the humankind goes through, all the conditions that humankind experience, and they're horrible. I mean, some of them are tragic, right? At the same time, the more you get to reveal it and express it and let it go, have a place to go to that's not within you, because you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then you can accept and access that I am not my body. I'm stuck in my body, but I am not my body.
Nor am I the whole of all mixed.
So that's the process of sorting out the little T from
Right.
the big T.
Well, the big T is always going to be the big T. It doesn't care if you ever see it or not. At the same time, if you pray about it with a heart that's open and correct, you're inviting, you could just do a simple thing like, use me, show me. Use me, show me, guide me. Just use me, show me, guide me. Let me see. You can put a list of the things that you might self-proclaim as the shortcomings. I would just write them all down, and then I'd start to burn them when you're done with them. It doesn't matter how many you have. Yes. I would literally get rid of them as you're getting rid of them. Like just put them all down. They may not be as over. Some might be connected.
Is the big T the DF?
The big T
God
is spirit.
God is truth.
I mean, we just did the prayer where I don't really remember what I said, but I was using that God or spirit or the universe or the knower of all, the creator of all and all as all, whatever that.
I am.
Okay, whatever that is for you, invite that into your heart, into your space to see this list. And am I? Just, you can walk around with that question. Am I? And the more we let our pain and despair and sadness and unforgiveness, and it doesn't even matter how we were raised, all the horrible things that could have happened to us, you can still find, if you use your spiritual tools, I believe you can still find a way to go, oh my gosh. And there's going to be that one day where you just go, oh my gosh. Because then that comes to the scripture, right? All the years that the locusts have eaten. I love that scripture, because then it's like, oh my gosh, they were all washed away. Because sometimes when I was at my saddest from my own personal life, that's how I got led to this whole teaching. Because I wasn't sure I wanted to even go on anymore. And it was like, so a lot of times you'll hear that for this kind of teaching, you might either be pushed or pulled to it. And it really helped me to see, oh my gosh, I control everything with my thoughts, my thinking, my mind. And when I can find a forgiveness for all the hurt and the pain and the despair, that I can, it's almost like a baptism, right? I mean, we could say that. There's, you don't have to just have had one baptism, I don't think. I mean, if you believe in it, we can all jump out right now in the pool and do it. I mean, we could do it, right? We can have that rebirth anytime, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to be overly simplistic with it, but you see where I'm going, right? The more, look at them. Don't be afraid to.
I just see a level of danger in people thinking that they are divine.
Okay, well, you're looking.
I
you're looking at it at the highest level of government right now.
Right.
How's it working for everybody?
Scary that there are people
right.
who are, who have a very high opinion of their own understanding of truth.
Right, but is
that
it
doesn't seem real.
But it's not truth with the capital T. If it was truth with the capital T,
then it would be good.
Exactly. And that's all we need. I think that's all that our prayer should be.
I like to think about all of us, most people go through their lives sleepwalking.
Yes.
And they don't see the truth about themselves at all. And something in life will happen that will wake a person up. And waking up is very painful, so most people look around and the pain is terrible, so they go back to sleep.
Yeah, could I add in on that before I forget? Because I'm old. No, I don't think so. There's a Ricky Byers-Beckwith song lyric. They're walking around sleeping, dreaming they're awake. And it's called I've Changed. So you can Google search Ricky Byers-Beckwith. It's R-I-C-K-I-E Byers, B-Y-A-R-S, Beckwith. And it's beautiful. And you will cry a million tears listening to the lyrics, because one of them is, God is first in my life, second to none. And so once you let that just soak into you, you can't believe the list. No matter how long the list is, the list becomes false. Right? And that's a perfect way. And there's another quote, so from Dr. Michael Beckwith, who was my teacher at Agape, is, an expanded mind cannot retract. It's exactly what you just said. That's his quote, not mine. So Judith just said, see, once you're awake, like this group's awake, because we just did a prayer about being light workers and wanting to see truth with a capital T. We don't want to see the small t. We know that's what's so frustrating. We know the difference. We know what a small t is. And it's being propelled with great, there's going to be a military parade, for God's sake, for this. There's going to be a parade soon.
My sponsor in AA used to say, know the truth and the truth will set you free, but first it'll make you miserable.
Right.
That's why most people go back to sleep.
Well, and what Judith, you can't go back to sleep though.
Once you really wake up.
You really can't. You can pretend that you didn't hear it, like la 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 la. But when you hear, right,
Yeah.
you know what's right and what's wrong. And so to end on time, we have time for maybe one more question. Okay.
Mark?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Quick question.
Are you playing the song?
Question, or we could listen to that.
No.
Okay. Question or clarification. So when you say I am, so I study Buddhism and they talk about the small self, right? The ego self. So when you say I am light, you're not talking about the small self, the ego self, right? You're talking about the higher self.
Exactly.
Okay. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Which is
just
perfection.
a quick question, like how I'm envisioning that you go through life, everyday life, doing the affirmation, or do you have a certain time set aside for doing the affirmation?
You could do whatever works for you at the same time. If you find yourself like shifting to something that you don't want to experience, because when you say I am something, you're going to probably be that. You're probably going to experience that. And so if you see that you can make a course correction, is what I'm trying to say. If you see yourself heading down a belief, that's just human nature. Like I am frustrated, I am hot, I am whatever. You can see yourself thinking, and it's to catch yourself and just go, you could just make a course correction. So you could do it at any time.
Yes, that makes sense.
But habits are good. Habits are good.
I just wonder, people interact and they affect one another. And we do love people and we include people, but we include people that are also negative. And that's the only word I can think of to describe it, but that's bound to have an effect on us.
Absolutely. Have you met my mother? We walk into their house, it's only Fox News. Hello? What about your kid? You see?
Yeah.
So it's it's in our own family.
Yes.
Right. We did a very powerful prayer today, and we're all going to leave here expecting the good, expecting the change and the good. We got you.
This is really a quick question.
Go ahead.
What's the name of Becky Beckwith's song?
Oh, it's Ricky Byers Beckwith.
Yeah.
Did you pull it up?
No,
I think it's called I've Changed.
I changed.
I've Changed.
I've changed.
Did you pull up the song on your phone?
No.
No.
Anyway, it's amazing. So if you want to ever have us back, we'll come swimming with you. We love you guys. We thank you. We honor you right where you are. We appreciate the invitation so much. This is really beautiful. I've always been impressed. I love the art fair. It's amazing. I've been. What else?
I
Okay.
love you. And I want to see
Thank
you.
you.
Again and again and again.
Sure.
You give so much, Mark.
Okay, love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Let's have Deanna will do a closing song. Thank you guys so much.
I love this song. It's called Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way. And the thing that drew me to Science of Mind was this idea that there are no opposing forces when it comes to God. And it feels like it sometimes, but when we can remind ourselves that God really is bigger than anything in its way, we can be inspired to receive what we need right in the moment, no matter what's happening around us.
The door is open to go through. If I could, I would come too. But the path is made by you. As you walk in, start singing and stop talking. Oh, oh, oh. If I could hear myself when I say, oh, 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 oh. Love is bigger than anything in its way. Oh, 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 oh. So young to be the words in your own song. I know the rage in you is strong. So write a world where we can belong to each other and sing it like no other. Oh, 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 oh. If I could hear myself when I say, oh, 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 oh. Love is bigger than anything in its way. Oh, 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 oh. If the moonlight caught you crying on Kilani Bay, oh, sing your song, let your song be sung. If you listen, you can hear the silence say, when you think you're done, you've just begun. You've just begun. Oh, 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 oh. Love is bigger than anything in its way. Love is bigger than anything in its way. Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah. Thank you, Reverend.
Wow.
Thank you guys so much.